On the radio. Hello, big guy.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fantastic, even though it's cold.
It is a little chilly.
Notice it was 6 below zero on my back porch this morning. Hey, listen, that word you're talking about.
Yeah.
I am commanding officer of the word police, by the way, and that word is Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
That's right.
Okay.
In the dictionary, which I happen to look up anyway, but it does spell it W-O-O with the little dippy-to-do over the top of the O's.
Spells it how now?
Well, as far as the way you pronounce it, they you know how they always spell it out.
Oh.
W-O-O with a little dip on the top of that, meaning woo.
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, and the S, of course, now the hyphen is on that first part. And then it's T and the upside down E-R, and then a S-H-I-R.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Like, sure.
That's pretty close to the way I've been pronouncing it.
Well, I guess I know what you mean when you bring yourself up in the conversation in the restaurant and you say you want that. I'm sure they know what you're talking about.
I never asked for that because I don't like it.
Well, anyway, it says in there, too, it was made in Worcestershire, England. And that's why they got the name.
Well, I assume that, and you may have settled all of this. You may have settled all of this.
Maybe so, but that other thing you're talking about, too, about letting kids run loose in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Now, me being Mr. Mom as I am, I do have the little ones running around at the house, but when we go to the restaurant, it's business as usual.
All right.
And they do not get loose.
And everybody is at attention.
Because it irritates me more than it does the other fella. See my own kids running around.
Plus, it's not safe. And,
that's right.
And it's rude. You got to worry about the folks around you in life, where it's your next door neighbors and you're letting your cat run out, or the next table in a restaurant and you're letting the children run wild.
That's exactly right.
Nobody's going to call who does that because they're all listening to FM radio and going Scooby-Dooby.
You're probably right.
You take care of yourself and stay warm.
We will do it.
I'll talk to you, big guy.
Bye-bye.
Albany, Georgia, and Ann. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning, Ludlow.
How you doing?
I'm fine. Freezing. Freezing.
Yeah.
Cold even down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, though. Pretty and sunny.
And y'all not supposed to be cold down there.
Well, it said 19 and like a wind chill of anywhere from 5 to 0 or something like that. So a little puff of wind and everything.
Yep.
It's cold going to school this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got a word, please, and I don't know if it applies to what you were talking about, anything that you mentioned, but you'll be in a conversation and somebody will say something like, well, it's a whole nother situation. Nother.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
I think it's very colloquial. I think out of the South, you probably won't hear that.
Yeah. But instead of saying another whole situation,
right.
it's a whole nother situation.
Yeah, that's, I bet you if you get very far above the Mason-Dixon line, you're not going to hear that.
Yeah, probably not. But it irritates.
Well, you're a word police.
I guess.
You can't help it.
I guess.
Things irritate you that other people don't even hear.
That's true.
And you were born that way.
I guess.
You take care of yourself.
Right. Good to talk to you.
I'll talk to you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. 1-800-572-8255. Ladies, got a cad in your life? Ever had a cad in your life? Come on, you can talk about this. This will be worth waiting for because they are unique and different. And usually charming. We'll talk about all of that. 1-800-572-8255. More trouble in Washington. The nominee for the Secretary of Defense said, no, I'll take this job. I don't want it. This is too much trouble. People are writing bad things about me, and they're talking bad, and they're getting after me, and I don't want to fool with it. So the problem with appointees for the Clinton administration continues. 1-800-572-8255. Let me tell you about some very special...
It sure does. I guess one thing I do better than anybody else is cook possum.
You do that, do you?
I think my secret to my recipe is the preparation of the possum. When I catch the curious critter in my rabbit box, he must first be fattened up in a cage with some sweet feed.
Yeah.
So as to enhance the flavor of the meat, shall we say.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Lord knows it needs that. And do you cook them with sweet potatoes?
Oh, yes. Sweet potatoes will help sop up some of that grease.
That and a dipper.
Yes, sir.
Chef, keep us posted. We love it.
Thank you, Letty.
Hang in there.
All righty. Bye-bye.
LaGrange, Georgia, and JoAnn. Hello, JoAnn. JoAnn and LaGrange. JoAnn and LaGrange had to leave us. Then we'll go to Cleveland, Tennessee, and talk to JR. Hello, JR. JR had to leave us, too. This is starting to take on serious proportions. All right. Well, apparently we may have a little phone glitch there somewhere. JR, are you there? No? They may have been one of the Worcestershire sauce pronunciations. You can't tell. Still haven't heard from anybody with a cad in their life. How does a cad differ from a bounder or a scallywag or a rascal? We can get all of those. Still haven't heard from someone who lets their child or children run loose in restaurants. You know you're out there. 1-800-572-8255, Newnan, Georgia, and Howard. Hello, Howard.
How you doing, Ludlow?
I'm doing good, buddy.
I've been listening to your program for some time now, and I heard a few minutes ago where you wanted someone to call in, tell them about the first day in service.
First day in the military.
Well, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I left Macon, Georgia, September the 18th, 1950, and I went into a little town just outside of Parris Island, South Carolina, where we met with what they called a DI.
Yeah.
A drill instructor. We got there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he fell us all out in the ranks. It was probably about 60 hours. And he cussed us, and he called us no good civilians and everything else in the book, you know.
Uh-huh.
Then we spent the night there in a little barracks, and the next morning he got up, and we done calisthenics, and we got cussed again, and we was told how sorry it was, and we was hoped to be Marines one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
So then, that day we went out to Parris Island, and being ignorant, 18 years old, not knowing, what was going on, they marched us through a shower, first a foot wash, then we went into a shower, then we went in and got our shots. And
I need to tell everybody that the whole time this was happening, he was screaming at you.
Oh, the DI,
Yeah, never stopped.
jumping up and down, yeah. And then during that time, after we got our shots and half hours walked out with needles hanging in our arms, it wasn't like it is today. I walked off about 10 foot, and this fella, the corpsman, says to me, says, "Hey, USB, you got my damn needle." So I thought, well, gosh, I didn't take your needle. I turned around and looked, and there it hung in my arm.
Yeah, what I need with your needle?
So anyway, I backed up, and he taken his needle out, and then I went on to the barbershop. We was lined up, and of course we had some boys there from up around New York at that time. Remember, this was back in the 50s before long hair ever started down here.
Yeah.
So these boys had, I don't know what we call down here, a pompadour.
Yes.
Hair real high on the head, and a heavy head of hair. So they would take the clippers and run it through their hair right fast and tell them to catch it, So I was wearing a flat top. It wasn't too much trouble for me anyway. Anyway, they cut our hair just as short as they could, and he cussed us, and he threw us out into the ranks, and then we went through a barracks where they issued uniforms, and they threw our uniforms at us, and I'll never forget when my combat boots came to me, they hit me right in the lower part of my chest, and like I said, I was 18 years old when I weighed about 145 pounds, and it almost knocked the breath out of me. And I thought, well, gosh, this is what I asked for. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be a Marine, so I'm going to make it. And all day that day, it was something new, And then for the next 16 weeks, it was a lot new.
Yeah, I remember when, they give you they do now, they give you a form letter to send to your parents. And, and it says, it's all typed up. All you got to do is sign it. It's typed
Right.
up. My son, at the bottom of it, wrote back to me, and it was no surprise for Phil, because Phil was a third-generation Marine. He sent it back, and across the bottom he wrote, "We've been here 48 hours. I think I'm going to die."
Well, our training was rough then. You remember back several years ago when Sergeant McCune marched the 4 Marines off in the creek and drowned about 4 of them,
Yeah, he marched It was a whole platoon, but I think only 4 of them drowned.
Well, maybe that's what it was. I remember hearing about it. I was out during that time, but, you know, most of us went through about the same thing out there. And you had some that wanted to lag back, and we had a boy that got killed in our platoon during the time that we was going through, and it was negligence is all it was. But
It's quite a first day. You'll never forget that.
I'll never forget it as long as I live.
I got to run, my man. I'm glad you called. Thanks a million.
All right,
Take
bye-bye.
care of yourself. 1-800-572-8255. Having a big time. 1-800-572-8255. LaGrange, Georgia. And JoAnn. Hello, JoAnn.
Yeah.
We lost you a minute ago. I'm glad we're back.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
I'm calling in regards to the parents that let their children run around in public places.
Right.
Okay, you meant the restaurant.
Yes.
And I was in the Walmart. And his kid, this one boy, he was running all around in the men's department like crazy. You know how close the racks are together?
Yeah, yeah.
This kid was just running rampant in there.
How old would you
I would say he was not even 7.
A little guy, yeah.
He
Okay.
was a real small kid, like Calvin and Hobbes size.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's terrorizing the whole place, so you couldn't get around and stuff. And I'm going, where in the world is this boy's parents? I'm looking around. I don't see anyone. So finally I tried, and I'm chasing him in there. And I'm trying to reach him and catch up with him. And he's pretty quick, and he's dodging me. And he was cute. And we're running around. And finally I caught him. And I told him, I'm not going to hurt you. I just want you to bring you to your mom. Where is your mother? Where is your father? And he says, I don't know. I don't know. So we searched for his mother and his father for about 5 to 10 minutes. And we finally found them.
Had they missed him?
No! They didn't. I brought him over there with him in my hand, and they just stood there like, well, gosh, why are you bringing me my son?
Yeah.
And they were just standing there talking with another couple like it was plain as day.
And had not seen him in at least 5 or 10 minutes.
Right. And didn't miss him at all.
See,
Did
that's
you watch
scary.
the program on the other night where some girl was kidnapped in the Walmart because the parents weren't watching her?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Well, they did, okay? And I'm just trying to send a message. I mean, I was very surprised these people didn't even know where their son was.
It's scary. Here's people who know where their dog is at all times
Right.
and didn't know where their child was.
Mm-hmm.
Good story. You're a good citizen. I hope you did some good.
I hope so.
You take care, JoAnn.
Thank you very much.
Good to talk to you.
Same here. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Albany, Georgia, and Marilyn. Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Ludlow.
How are you
Gee,
doing?
It's nice to talk to you. Long wait this morning.
Well, we're glad you stayed with us.
No, I wanted to say, this morning when you said you wanted to hear from a cad, right?
Yes.
I thought about your brother Lewis.
You think Lewis could qualify as
Yes,
a candidate?
I do, and I just finished reading. I got your book. Thank you so much for the book.
You're welcome.
And I finished reading Lewis and Me and Skipper May 3. I had 4 laps in it.
Good.
And when I said to him, boy, he is a cad.
Very good.
He really is.
that
I
is-
love Lewis's books, too.
That's a pretty good. Yeah.
This is a nice threesome of books. I was glancing at your cookbook this morning,
Yeah.
and I was looking on that about cornbread. People don't put sugar in cornbread. I was surprised.
No, they shouldn't, because people who put sugar in cornbread should not be allowed to vote or own property.
Oh, boy,
Yeah.
that's me then.
No.
So next time I make my-
all we have to do, see, is overcome your upbringing.
I guess you're right.
Because someplace along the line, somebody said you put sugar in cornbread and you didn't know any better.
Listen, did you ever have cornmeal mush when you were growing up for cereal?
No.
No, I loved it. And that, you cook the cornmeal in water,
Yeah.
and you, of course, have sugar and milk on it. We loved it when we were little.
Sounds good.
Yep, and that's why I always put sugar in cornbread.
All right, now I want you to, your next batch,
Uh-huh.
I want you to make it with no sugar, using the recipe that's in
In your book
right.
here, right?
And then I want you to watch your husband. The first thing he's going to want to do is take you to the church and re-exchange vows with you.
Uh-huh.
And he'll probably bring you flowers that night.
Oh, boy. That sounds great.
And we will start a whole new life.
This is a good day for cornbread. Or hot biscuits. I see you have a couple of recipes in your book.
Here.
So I want to say thank you for the book. And how is Louis? Is he good?
He's coming along a little better every day.
Is he still at the hospital?
No, he's out of the hospital now.
Oh, he's out again?
Yeah.
Okay, so have a good day. Nice talking to you.
You take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Hawkeye is on the line. Hello, Hawk. How you doing?
Just fine, sir.
Good.
Just heard you talk about the children in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Made me think. We went to the movie the other night, and it was pretty well full. And next to me, they had one about 5 years old, and the daddy threatened him 600 times to take him to the car.
But that's all he did was threaten.
That's all. And the mama had one about 4 or 5 months old, probably. So nobody in that area heard any of the movie. But there's no way they could have heard it.
Let me ask you a question. What did it cost you to get you and your wife in there and get some popcorn?
Well, and my children, and one boy, it cost about $15, about $23.
Is that including the snacks?
Oh, no.
So
I could go back, see.
Yeah, you dropped about $35.
Right.
To listen to somebody else's child, and you left there and didn't know much more about that movie than before you got there.
All I know is I went.
Yeah.
And there's no way that they could have heard anything.
I don't understand.
The mama went up, she got out, went out 3 or 4 times with it, and nobody around my area could have heard half of what was going on. But I just thought I'd share that with you.
Well,
you're talking about the children in the...
I appreciate it. We're living in strange times.
Okay.
And if you don't make them mind when they're 5, what are you going to do when they're 15?
Look out.
Look out. Okay, I'll talk to you, buddy. Take care. 1-800-572-8255. Yeah, I can hear him now. That boy's 15 years old, and I can't do a thing with him. He don't want to go to school. He won't do his home. Oh, my goodness. 1-800-572-8255. Nobody has called to tell me about their tattoo, and I'm crushed. Join us.
And I said, darling, there's something I got to get off my chest. It's this cough, darling. It just won't give me any rest. I'll admit I've been confused. So confused by all those cough medicine brands, so I'm putting my trust in you now, darling. My cough is in your hands, so to speak. And then she looked at me and said just one word. Yeah, Creomotion is what she said. Then she told me that Creomotion cough medicine has a formula that's new, with a strong cough suppressant and a congestion fighter, too. Well, I took new Creomotion, and my cough soon went away. And if I ever need a word of good advice, I'll always hear my darling say, New Creomotion. It works fast, and then it works some more.
Available at Drug Emporium, Big B, and Kroger.
And now, the conclusion of Bullet Brigade at Gully Ridge.
To understand how important the National Guard and Reserve are to our country, consider how this scene sounds without them.
We can still take that ridge, but we'll need every man and every ounce of firepower we've got. Kowalski, sir. Yes, sir. You take Johnson and set up a diversion on the ridge. And watch your backsides.
Johnson's not here, sir.
No, not Johnson. Tell me they didn't get Johnson.
They didn't. He's at work. He's a shoe salesman.
But he's my best sharpshooter.
And salesman of the month, sir. I guess his boss just wouldn't give him the time off.
Well, there's still plenty of good men here. What about Caldwell?
Said he might be able to swing by after 5 o'clock.
Miller?
No.
Roberts?
Big presentation in Cleveland, sir.
Oh, today's the big day, huh?
Yeah, I wonder how he's doing. Said he'd check in a little later.
Man.
The National Guard and Reserve comprise 44% of our nation's defense. So when your employees need time off to serve, be a hero. Give them the freedom to protect ours. A public service message from employer support of the Guard and Reserve and the Ad Council.
Find out what your neighbors and friends are talking about on the Ludlow Porch Show. The toll-free lines are now open at 1-800-572-TALK. That's 1-800-572-8255. Now, more fun with Ludlow.
Well, good morning, fun seekers. Shivering that you are. Cold weather in our Southland today. But it's going to get better by and by, I promise. Been talking about the funny papers, about the comic strips, and a couple of things we got here we'd like to find out, like who was Skeezik's Wallace, who wrote Dick Tracy, what do BC and the Wizard of Id have in common, who created Red Rider, can you name the comic strip whose hero is a bald-headed little boy who never spoke, what do High and Lois and Beetle Bailey have in common, who was Nobby Walsh? Anybody out there remember that name?
At least 5 years that I can.
Got a bunch of good ones out there, and we'll talk to you about your favorite comic strip as we go right back to the phones and talk to Smokey on the radio. Good morning, Smokey.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
The cutout paper dolls, as I recall, were in connection with Tilly the Toiler.
Okay.
And the bald-headed boy was Henry.
Henry, yeah. I used to like Henry as a child because I could understand it. There was no dialogue at all, and you could see what Henry was doing. And I think I kind of identified with Henry as a child.
Yeah, I always liked him. I also liked Flash Gordon and Dale Arden.
Right.
Today, they should be rated PG.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a little prurience there.
Yeah, just a touch.
High and Lois and Beetle Bailey are drawn by the same fellow.
You're right, but the real connection I was looking for is the fact that Lois is Beetle Bailey's sister.
Oh, okay.
Before Beetle Bailey went into the Army, he was...
Big man on campus.
Exactly. He was a college student.
At Missouri.
Who used to just absolutely drive High crazy because of his slovenly approach to life. And it didn't change at all when he went in the Army.
No.
He should be about ready to retire now, shouldn't he?
I would think so. Another thing, among those long-running early ones, would that have included Bringing Up Father?
Oh, very good, yeah.
Maggie and Jiggs, I think.
Maggie and Jiggs, one of the best ones ever written. Glad you called, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, and my friend Gene. Hello, Gene.
Hello, Letty.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
How are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think you asked, did you ask who Skeezer Wallet is or what comic strip is he in?
Either one, because if you get one, you get the other.
Well, he's in Gasoline Alley.
That's right.
And, High and Lois and Beetle Bailey, they're written by the same author, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Plus Lois is Beetle's sister.
Yeah, and the one that's set in Canada, that's for better or for worse.
That's what?
For better or for worse?
Well, you may be right. I was thinking of another one.
Oh, well, that one's also set in Canada.
Okay.
And I was wondering, what do you think of the comic strip Calvin and Hobbes?
I enjoy Calvin and Hobbes.
You do?
I was introduced to Calvin and Hobbes about a year ago by a listener who called here and recommended that. And I like Calvin and Hobbes.
Well, I do too. I like the funny parts where, Calvin's playing tricks on people or something.
Yeah.
But there's ones that kind of not always seem boring, but this one Sunday, it's really long. And, well, he goes into these little talks about his theories and his opinions. And
it's different.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
And it may be like beer. It may be an acquired taste. What do you think?
Yeah.
You take care of your sweet stuff there in Chattanooga.
Okay.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Stay warm. Bye-bye.
All right, my friend. 1-800-572-8255. Your favorite all-time comic strip. Anybody out there remember Little Lulu's boyfriend? What was his name? 1-800-572-8255. More right after this.
And I said, darling,
No girls allowed?
No girls allowed.
Right.
That's right.
You know what? That I am just discovered kind of a cartoon expert, and I didn't realize how much I knew about
That's
these.
right. It all comes back.
Bloomfield Hill, Brookfield.
For you and I'm sure you're going to know this.
Let's see.
Anyway, I don't get Snuffy Smith, but my mother sends them to me.
Mm-hmm.
What is their baby's name, Louise and Snuffy's baby's name?
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I can
Can't
see.
you just see him?
Yeah, it looks just like a shrunk-up Snuffy.
Yes. Oh,
What's his name?
Tater.
Tater, of course.
Yes, Tater. But it's amazing how all this stuff will just flood back to you. But I couldn't believe how many of those I actually knew. That,
Yeah.
That, you know, and one of my other favorites, well, Little Lulu was a really biggie with me, but I always liked Donald Duck. Huey, Dewey, and Louie comic books.
Yeah, I liked it, but of the Walt Disney comic books, I always preferred Mickey Mouse, and I tell you why. Donald Duck was funny, and I loved it, but Mickey Mouse had a plot.
Oh, yeah?
He was after the bad guys, or they were after him.
True.
Or he was going to the haunted house to find the treasure, or Minnie had been kidnapped by Pig Leg Pete.
Right, yes.
And I don't know, I just identify with that little rat.
Well, all right. Well, I'm glad you have this subject today. I'm really enjoying this.
It's been fun. You take care of
All right.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you. 1-800-572-8255, Spartanburg, and Barbara. Good morning, Barbara.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
This is my first call.
You've never used the telephone before, Barbara?
No,
This
never.
is amazing. Well, we are glad that you called first or not.
Well, this is a really frozen area today.
Yeah, here too, yeah.
But you were calling and talking about the Cowboy series in the comic strip.
Yes.
And I remember Gene Autry. I remember the Lone Ranger. I remember Red Ryder and Little Beaver.
Yeah.
Now, what other Cowboy series was there?
This was one that came absolutely from the movies.
Hopalong Cassidy.
Yeah, exactly right.
I just remember.
Exactly right. That's right.
Well, I'm like that other lady.
And
Surprised at what you remember.
Yeah, the Gene Autry strip didn't run long, and Red Ryder was originally a comic strip that they made into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Hopalong Cassidy, of course, was originally a novel that they made a movie out of, and then made everything out of it.
They did. That was a popular series.
Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed that.
And you know, when television came along and was busy killing off the B Western, William Boyd, who had played Hopalong Cassidy, bought the name and the rights.
It was a smart move, wasn't it?
And he bought them for nothing because they were worth nothing.
At the time.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started to be on television, and he started to market cap pistols and cowboy hats.
I remember my brother's.
And dinette set for little children. And became a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, that was really something. Hey, what about Wrong Way Corrigan? Wasn't he in the comic strips also, or?
I don't know. I know who Wrong Way Corrigan was, but I didn't know they made a
He's
comic
just popular maybe in the movies.
Well, Wrong Way Corrigan was a real guy who was trying to get to California and flew to Ireland in the fog.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
are you thinking of Crash Corrigan?
Crash Corrigan.
Crash Corrigan was a cowboy actor. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. I'm with you. All right, my
now,
love.
what's the other one? The Alley-Oop. You remember Alley-Oop?
Alley-Oop very well. And his dinosaur Denny.
That was really something. And then the other ones you haven't mentioned was Buck Rogers and not Steve Canyon.
Terry and the Pirate.
Terry and the Pirate.
Yeah.
Those were also popular and became radio shows too, I think.
They sure did.
And the Green Hornet was in a comic strip for a while.
Yeah, but here again, I think he went from radio to the comic strip. He was created by the same folks who created the Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger. He was
a nephew.
The nephew of Lone Ranger.
Yeah,
of the Lone Ranger. That's right.
Well, we are so smart, it's about to turn my stomach.
Oh, my God. Well, I enjoy listening to your show. I don't often get a chance, but I'm home suffering through the ice right now.
All right. Well, you keep calling. We love it.
Thanks.
Take care of yourself.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. 1-800-572-8255. Beautiful, gorgeous day. Colder than a well digger's watch fob, but beautiful. 1-800-572-8255. Join us. Hop on Seekers. This is Ludlow. 1-800-572-8255. Cleveland, Tennessee, and Billie. Good morning, Billie.
Good morning.
How are you, my love?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am good.
I just love your show. I don't get to hear it too often as I work, but I'm like the other lady. I'm braving the ice today.
All right. No, you're not braving it. You're staying home where you belong. Good for you.
Well, you see, I'm about ready to retire, so I have a lot of days vacation that I've got to take before I quit over there, so I might as well get paid for them, right?
No question. That just sounded like good old-fashioned arithmetic to me.
Well, I've been there 42 years, so I think they owe me a few, don't you?
Yeah, they do for a fact. And not only that, but when you retire, you can listen to us
every day.
Every day. That's wonderful.
The cartoon you were talking about, Totally in Canada, would that be King of the Royal Mounties?
Very good. Sergeant King of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yeah, I remember that. I grew up, well, I was just a kid when the World War II started, you know, and I remember all those that we used to grab the Sunday paper for, you know.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites, and to this day, I think the RCMP are the most romantic figures ever in law enforcement. I know they don't ride horses anymore, and I know they don't have the pretty red uniforms like they used to keep their pistol around their neck with a rope. But when I was a kid, I thought anybody could do that for a living and have their own horse and their own pistol. What more could a person want?
Oh, well, you know, that taught good moral principles to us, didn't it?
It did. He was a clean living, straight shooter that was just out to enforce the law, and that was a good comic strip and a great pattern for young boys to,
That's right.
or young girls to pattern their life after.
Somewhere along the way, they lost that, didn't they? And I think that's why our young people growing up today, they don't look up to the law like we did. You know, they don't respect it like we did. In a lot of places.
Well, I think the main thing is they're not afraid of it like we was.
Probably not. But
I knew that going to jail was not an option because I knew that the minute I got parole, my mother would kill me. So, was not an option. Not an option.
And the little boy that never talked, did anybody answer that?
What was that?
Was that Henry?
Henry. And you know what I think attracted me to Henry?
What?
You rarely ever saw Henry in school. Henry was out by that big old fence that used to be behind him all the time.
Yeah.
And you rarely ever saw him in school, and that was my idea of the way to live when I was a little boy. Never go to school, just stand by a fence all the time.
Well, I tell you, it'd be a poor world if we hadn't, wouldn't it?
I know, but at the time, it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know how boys were when I grew up, too.
I hated it.
I raised two of my own.
Yeah.
I listened to you in November. I had a little bit of eye surgery, and that day you were honoring the veterans of World War II.
Uh-huh.
Well, of all the wars, I guess. But there was some heroes that we don't hear too much about, and that was the nurses that rolled up their sleeves and gave their own blood and took care of their wounded, you know.
Yeah, and history will never even record how many lives those ladies saved.
No, and I think that's a shame because without them, a lot of our boys wouldn't have come back that did.
No question about it. No question about it at all.
I had a brother that went in the Army in November just before Pearl Harbor, and he had always worked with heavy machinery like Caterpillar tractors, you know, and all that in civilian life, so they put him right in the 2nd Armored Division. And he was one of the first to go overseas, and he fought in that war 32 months as a tank driver and a gunner and a lot of other things before he was got hit in the leg with a piece of shrapnel. And not many of them lasted 32 months, you know. But he fought with Patton's Army. After his outfit got wiped out, he wound up with Patton's Tank Division and went on up into North Africa, and it was while he was there he got wounded, and they flew him back to England to a hospital, and they didn't have very much there to do with, but this one nurse gave her own blood to him, and she'd get right up and take care of him. Maybe she'd give a pint of blood, you know.
Yeah, we owe those folks, men and women, more than we can ever repay.
Yes, we do.
You take care of your sweet self.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And hurry up and retire now, because I want to hear from you once a week.
Okay.
All right, be good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Go to Brunswick, Georgia, and talk to Jim. How you doing, Jim?
Oh, Ludlow, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy.
How did you get to work this morning?
We have been living here for the past 2 days. We spent the last 2 nights here.
So you didn't have to drive down out of the mountain?
No, I had to walk across a little grassy strip about 40 yards to get to work this morning.
How's the conditions up there? I noticed where all the schools were closed.
The temperature is dropping. Ticks me off. No, they're not closed in the Atlanta area. They're closed north of Atlanta.
North of Atlanta?
Yeah, in some of our mountain areas they're closed today. But everything's wide open and rolling here, and no ice to speak of.
I understand it's going to be in the low 20s here in Brunswick, so it's got to be cold up there tonight. How cold is it going to get where you are tonight?
I have heard them talk about as low as 10, but I don't know for sure.
That's cold.
It is cold. What are you talking about? Make your nostrils seize up.
Did you get Frank and Ernest, Ludlow?
No.
Frank and Ernest last night in the Brunswick paper had the cutest cartoon. May I tell you what it is?
If you can do it in about a minute, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Abraham Lincoln is sitting in the Oval Office behind the desk.
Yeah.
And the stout one is standing there with the note. And he says, "Sir, you know that little girl who said you should grow a beard? Now she thinks you ought to have your ears pierced." Isn't that cute?
I love it.
If we got 10 seconds, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Who was the cartoon artist that lived in St. Mary's? And St. Mary's was the setting with the trolley and the marshes, and there was a lot of scenes from Brunswick in the newspaper, like the Deck Restaurant and the St. Thomas Causeway.
Don't have any idea.
I'm going to look it up.
Let me know.
There's a motel down there, a hotel that has these under glass on their check-in counter. I'm going to look it up.
Gotta go. Let me know. Bye-bye. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
With me to Albany. Let's go see my dear old mammy. She's frying eggs and broiling hammy. That's what I like about the South. Now there you can make no mistakey. Where those nerves are never shaky. Ought to taste her layer cakey. That's what I like about the South. Taste her layer
cakey. Don't you love a layer cakey? 1-800-572-8255. Phil Harris, and that's what I like about the South. Let's talk to my buddy. Another thing I like about the South is Elrod is here. Good morning, Elrod.
Hey, thank you, Ludlow. How you doing today?
Good, big guy. You doing all right?
I'm doing fine. I sure do feel sorry for those folks out in L.A., though. I tell you what.
Man, was that something? Great Scott.
Goodness gracious alive. I tell you what, them people, I heard somebody say on the radio that, well, I guess that's the price for living in paradise. And I say to myself, if that's paradise, I'll take this world anytime.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to live where don't nothing move that ain't on hinges.
Well said, Lilo. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Especially your house.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I felt so sorry watching them news reports, I mean to tell you. But I tell you one thing that lifts your spirits is reading the funny papers.
That's right.
I loved it because I always see myself and my friends in the funny papers.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Ain't no doubt about it. I like, I like Blondie best of all. Ain't no doubt. I've been reading it all my life. I like Snuffy Smith, but I don't get it no more.
Yeah.
And the Phantom. I have a hard time finding the Phantom these days. Yeah, I believe it may be in the journal, but you see, I don't buy the journal. I buy the Constitution.
I don't think it's in there. I haven't seen the Phantom. I don't know when.
I don't understand how people can lock the Phantom out of the paper. The Phantom was, that's an eternal strip. It keep going on forever.
That's right. Father to son, father to son.
That's right. But I don't understand that now. He ain't around no more, and it created a void in my life, my reading enjoyment.
I bet he's somewhere.
He got to be around.
Yeah.
But you got to be around, but I'd like somebody to tell me where, because I'd like to get him, that's for sure.
Yeah, you could subscribe to a paper just for that.
Absolutely. I like Hagar. You like Hagar the Horrible?
Like Hagar the Horrible.
Yeah, I like him a whole lot. And
I got one of his comic strips in a frame in my bathroom.
That's valuable, Lilo.
It's got a picture of Hagar standing on a rock with the waves and the thunder and lightning all around him, and he has his arms raised to the heavens, and he is shouting, "Why me? Why me?" And a voice comes back from the clouds and says, "Why not?"
That's right. That's the answer to all. That's it.
Yeah, I see that every day, and I think, why not?
That's right. I mean, if you were going to be somebody else, pal, might as well be you.
That's right.
That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
One other one, I like the Far Side a whole lot.
I do, too.
I hadn't heard too many people talk about the Far Side. My favorite Far Side of all time, I mean, it's hard to say. It's kind of like saying your favorite song or something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. But if I remember one more than any other, I remember the poor guy who is, obviously been shipwrecked, and he's trying to make his way to the faraway island. And the island with the one palm tree, in the middle of the ocean.
Right, yeah.
And it's a 3-bracket one. In the first bracket, it show him just about to give up the ghost. And the second one, the driftwood that he lying across is bringing him closer to the island. And it shows his eyes with the look of hope in his eyes for the first time, probably in about, 48 hours, something like that. And then the third bracket, it show a dog on the island with a beware dog sign. Ain't that life for you, Ludlow?
That's what my favorite all time, and I've told you this before. I don't know whether you remember it or not, but it's from Peanuts.
Oh yeah.
Charlie Brown in the outfield. There's the crack of a bat. He starts running toward the deep center field fence. When he gets to the fence, this goes over. It's a Sunday cartoon. It goes over about 7 or 8 or 10 panels.
Oh yeah.
He goes through a gate. Goes across the sidewalk, still looking back over the shoulder, watching this fly ball. He goes across another sidewalk, down a driveway, still running wide open. In the backyard, there are 2 little children in a wading pool. He stops, sits down, takes off his shoes, takes off his socks, puts his socks inside his shoes, steps over into the wading pond, and catches this fly ball. The last column, it's got 2 3-year-olds still sitting in the wading pond with this blank expression, and the little boy says to the little girl, maybe, just maybe, the greatest catch I've ever seen.
You would have to be up there with him.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Ludlow, this is a great program. Always is. I always enjoy your comic book program.
Call us again, my man.
We'll talk to you soon.
Hang in there.
Bye-bye.
Dalton, Georgia, and Frank. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Ludlow.
How you doing, pal?
I want to answer a question you asked about Red Ryder.
Good.
Fred Harmon created that.
That's right.
And he was he's an actual ranch owner from, I believe, Wyoming.
Yeah.
The Double R Ranch.
That's right. And
in that movie, in the movies that they made, there was 2 of them played Red Ryder. Alan Rocky Lane and William Elliott.
Oh, there was a bunch of them. I think there was 4 or 5 that played him.
Uh-huh.
There was Don Red Barry was the first one. That's where he got his name. And then there was Wild Bill Elliott and Alan Rocky Lane and a guy named Jim Bannon.
Yeah, and there's one more, too, but I can't remember his name. But I want to ask you a question.
All right.
This Sam Elliott that plays in the movies,
yeah,
is he in relation to William Elliott that played in those series?
Don't know.
You know who I'm talking about.
Well, you're talking about Wild Bill Elliott, yeah.
Well, yeah, but his name was William Elliott.
Yeah, but he was better known as Wild Bill, yeah.
Boys Guns backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nobby Welch was Joe Palooka's manager.
Right.
And I want to ask you another question.
Okay.
A friend of mine wants to know, O'Brien Reagan, and he wants to know why all the letters on Matlock are in small caption.
Just something to be eye-catching. I don't think there's any You mean in the when it starts off?
Yeah.
I think
all the names are in small letters.
I think it's just something to be eye-catching.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you talking to us.
Okay, buddy. You take care of yourself. Call us again. Speaking of Matlock, what a great show. What a great show. I really enjoy Matlock. Of course, I really enjoy Andy Griffith, but he's been in some shows that I didn't like much. But I like Matlock. 1-800-572-8255. Join us. Herb had to go, and that's a shame because now Herb is sterile. We'll talk to Jack. Hello, Jack.
Ludlow.
Hello, buddy.
Hey, this is Jack Elrod. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, my friend. How you doing?
Doing good.
One of my favorite people.
Well, thank you. I wanted to thank you for being in the strip. That really helped the
Let me tell you, I have need to tell everybody that we're talking to the extremely talented man who does Mark Trail, and that was the most flattering thing, Jack, that has ever happened to me, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. And I got calls and letters. You know what people were doing? People were mailing me a copy of that strip for an autograph. I felt like I was important.
Well, that's great. Well, that's Mark, too, having somebody like you there.
Well, anytime, and I noticed the other day that Mark and Cherry were up close to the house, but I couldn't find them.
Yeah.
They were right across that ridge. I cannot thank you enough for that. That was just wonderful.
Did you ever get the original on that?
No, I haven't.
I sent it 2 weeks before I did put it in the paper.
Well, maybe it'll come back to you or it'll turn up someplace.
I hope so. If it does, I'll sure send it to you.
Okay, thank you, because I wouldn't take anything for them.
Just talking about comic strips, I enjoy it, of course, when you talk about anything, but comic strips especially. And probably the strip that I enjoyed most when I was a kid, and it probably influenced me more as far as the artwork, was Terry and the Pirates,
Yeah.
That was well done, Milton Caniff. And I was just wondering if you happen to know the name of the character that was so popular in that strip, that the big guy that always looked like a dress.
Yeah, wait a minute now. He was an Oriental guy.
Yeah.
And his name was tip of my tongue, Jack. Great big guy. What was his name?
Big Stoop.
Big Stoop.
Yeah.
All right. I remember Charles C. Charles.
Yeah.
Hot Shot Charlie.
Yeah. Pat Ryan.
Yeah.
Dragon Lady.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They had some great characters. I used to spend many hours copying that strip, and I guess that helped my art talents in the later days.
Well, let me ask you a question. Something I've always wanted to know. How far ahead do you get on Mark Trail?
About 10 weeks. The syndicates like for you to stay 6 weeks or more, and worked on about 10 weeks. And it's a good thing I did, because during the Christmas holidays, the post office lost 4 weeks of strips.
Oh.
And they didn't show up for 4 weeks later. That really makes you sweat when you got to do something like that.
Great Scott. Yeah. I've always wondered about that. I didn't know how long.
Some of the more up-to-date strips that get a lot of this stuff out of the newspaper, they just stay 2 or 3 days. But most of the continued strips and stuff have to stay that far ahead, so they can send them to the various newspapers. And of course, they have to send and have their color pages done.
Right.
And it takes them a while to get all that done and send it to the various newspapers.
Very interesting. Well, listen, we appreciate you, and we appreciate Mark Trail, and Mark is as much a part of America's life as the expressways and.
Well, I appreciate it. Being in the environmental part, it's sort of, it's up to date now, and I hope it educates people a little bit about our wildlife and outdoor situation.
Here. We love it. You take care of yourself.
I enjoy your show, Ludlow.
Thank you. Call us again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Very talented. Very talented. Margarite in Murphreesboro, Tennessee. Hello, Margarite.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you?
I am great.
Well, good. Me too. I'm sitting here looking at the snow and ice. How's your weather down there?
Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Sunshine.
Sunshine, but cold as a dickens.
Yeah, that's the way it is here, too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know if you've heard of, I know you've heard of Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah.
Daddy Warbucks and Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if anybody remembers little Annie Rooney.
Yeah. And her dog Zero.
Her dog Zero and Miss Meanie that was always after her.
Yeah, Miss Meanie ran the orphans home, didn't
Yes.
she? Yeah.
And she kept escaping and running off, and she'd find refuge with a good family with a lot of children. And believe it or not, when I was a child and I read that, I remember she's the one that taught me that you could scrub a potato and leave the skin on and get all the nutrients out of it. They had that in the comic strip, and I never forgot that.
That was in reading that thing, whenever she would come in out of the cold and find a family with a kind father and a loving mother and nice brothers and sisters, you knew it wasn't going to last long.
Yeah. I wish they'd make a movie out of that.
You felt good for her, but
yeah. Miss Meanie is always right behind her.
Bad lady.
And they had her looking like a witch,
Yeah.
I was wondering if anybody remembers on Popeye, the people that were always look like on a ship, and they would be dressed with hoods on their heads, and it seemed like they called them Goonies or Goons or something.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I thought they were the bad people.
They probably were.
But anyway, the funnies were big time in our home on Sunday morning, and I remember we'd always tear the paper up before my dad got to it, and he would have to run around, where's the rest of my paper? Because Uncle Bob came on the radio, and his theme song was Toyland. And we'd get on the floor and we'd spread the funny sheet out, and he would read the funnies to us.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing in our household on Sunday.
Very good. Very
real good.
I'm glad you called. Do it again.
All right, thank you so much. And you have a good day.
All right, talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Union Springs and talk to Gene. Hi, Gene.
Ludlow.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Doing good, bud. You all right?
Oh, pretty good. A few calls back, I heard you talking about a television show involving the Mounties.
It was a comic strip.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the television show you were talking about.
No, you must be talking about Sergeant Preston.
Sergeant Preston,
Yeah.
right. I was on the fringe of the reception area, and all I heard was Sergeant King of the Mounties, and I remembered Sergeant Preston had a dog, King.
Right, Yukon King.
Right.
Right, yeah.
I thought that's what y'all were talking about.
Well, we will.
Sooner or later, huh?
Sooner or later.
Okay, that's about all I wanted.
Okay, bud, you take care of yourself.
You too.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of...